President Biden holds his first press conference. Deshaun Watson is being charged like crazy. Astra-Zeneca is slightly suspicious, and North Korea is getting missile happy. This is the March 26th report. Welcome to the Brief Newsbrief Podcast presented by the Life Given Radio. I'm your host, Isaac Lopez. Following the report, there will be the brief breakdown where we further discuss North Korea's show of force and also how 14 states are suing President Biden. Without further ado, let's jump in. President Biden held his first press conference on Thursday. Biden says, and this is all from a Fox News report on the live blog for the press conference, Biden says that migrant families apprehended at border should all be going back. Some families are not going back because Mexico is refusing to take them back. Some, not all, the president said. First-time claims for unemployment were at an all-time low this past week. Claims totaled 684,000 for the week ended March 20th, the first time the total had been sub 700,000. The previous week claims were at 781,000. According to a report from the Center for Immigration Studies, millions of illegal immigrants will be receiving $1,400 stimulus checks from the government. The research group estimated that nearly $4.38 billion will be handed out to illegal aliens. The Government Accountability Office confirmed reports that they are investigating President Biden's order to cease construction on the border wall dividing the United States from Mexico, a spokesperson said. Yes, we received a congressional request for a legal opinion on the matter, and we have accepted that request. President Biden said that he is delegating to Vice President Kamala Harris to lead efforts to stem the surge of illegal immigrants into the U.S. And that ends our segment on politics. On to sports. 16 lawsuits have been filed against Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson. Some of these suits allege that Watson sexually harassed various women. Per a report from ESPN, Rusty Hardin said in a statement that his law firm has strong evidence showing that one of the lawsuits alleging sexual assault is false, and it calls into question the legitimacy of the other cases as well. Here are the 16 teams still left standing throughout the March Madness rounds. In the West, Gonzaga, Creighton, USC, and Oregon. In the East, Michigan, Florida State, UCLA, and Alabama. In the Midwest, Loyola, Chicago, Oregon State, Syracuse, and Houston. And finally, in the South, Baylor, Villanova, Arkansas, and Oral Roberts. And yes, all three of my brackets are indefinitely busted. On to health. According to a report from CNN, quote, researchers at Massachusetts General Hospital, Brigham and Women's Hospital, and the Reagan Institute of MGH, MIT, and Harvard looked at 131 women who received either the Pfizer, BioNTech, or Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. Among the participants, 84 were pregnant, 31 were lactating, and 16 were not pregnant. Samples were collected between December 17, 2020 and March 2, 2021. The vaccine-induced antibody levels were equivalent in pregnant and lactating women compared to non-pregnant women. The antibody levels were strikingly higher than those resulting from coronavirus infection during pregnancy, the team noted. These vaccines seem to work incredibly effectively in these women, said one of the researchers. Astra-Zeneca, a producer of the COVID-19 vaccine, has fallen under suspicion after only giving half of a dose of the vaccine to volunteers during clinical trials. Philippe Lambers said in a quote, "What we have with AstraZeneca is a company that is not straightforward, that cannot be relied upon." He's a Belgian member of the European Parliament. According to two studies done by the New England Journal of Medicine, shows that, albeit rarely, people who have been vaccinated can still become infected. There were 4 cases out of 8,121 fully vaccinated people. And that concludes our segment on health. On to faith, family, and freedom. Per a report from NPR, North Korea launched 2 ballistic missiles into the Sea of Japan Thursday in its first provocation of the Biden White House. The missiles fell into waters that lie between North Korea and Japan, but avoided the latter's economic zone. The Japanese Prime Minister said in a statement that North Korea's actions threatens the peace and security of Japan and the region. He noted that North Korea's actions violated UN Security Council resolutions. This is its first ballistic missile test since March 2020. And Suga says the Prime Minister, that is, says that officials need to be more vigilant and watchful than ever before. A shooter entered a grocery store in Boulder, Colorado, and killed 10 people. The shooting seemed to be somewhat random per a description from an employee that survived. It was like multiple gunshots. Then it would stop. Then it would go again. Multiple. The following are the names of the fallen: Denny Stong, Nevin Stanistic, Ricky Olds, Trelona Bartkowiak, Terry Leaker, Eric Talley, Suzanne Fountain, Kevin Mahoney, Lynn Murray, and Jody Waters. The suspect has been identified as a 21-year-old Ahmad Alawi Alyssa. He has been charged on 10 counts of first-degree murder. Our thoughts and prayers go out to those victims' families. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in a case allowing for state governments to restrict people from openly carrying weapons in public. To conclude this segment, the Ever Given, a massive cargo ship, is wedged in the Suez Canal, blocking one of the most busy shipping lanes in the world. And finally, to end on some good news, 2 Good Samaritans pulled a police officer from his burning vehicle as he was participating in a high-speed chase and lost control. The 2 were not named in this report. Now, if you enjoy the Brief Newsbrief, you may like the Brief Newsletter, which will continue to have reporting like this. Sign up for that in the link below. If you want to drop a tip, email me at thebriefnewsbrief@gmail.com. Also, if you want more reporting from other reporters who share a similar vision as myself, check out the Life Given News, a site dedicated to reporting in succinct and honest ways. If you're interested in writing for the news site, reach out to me at thelifegivenandreceived@gmail.com. Follow me on social media if you want. Definitely give this podcast and this radio channel a follow wherever you track your podcasts. Remember who the real enemy is. Ephesians 6:12. God bless, and I will speak with you next Friday or in the brief breakdown right after this. Okay, well, a lot of stories, a lot of really interesting stories, and some very, very tough stories to work through in the news brief. And I hope I sounded coherent, because I am recording this much earlier. Normally I try to record it the previous evening to dropping it, so I sound more alert, but this week is not allowed for that. This week we do have a couple stories I want to get to. Like I said at the top of the show, let's just start with North Korea here. Apparently, they normally do a ballistics test every year around this time, from this report on NPR. It has its regular training in late March and early April. So apparently, politically, according to a North Korea expert at the Korean Institute for National Unification, Hong Min, said that this test is probably aimed at seeing what the U.S. reaction is without staging a huge provocation. And the Biden administration is still figuring out its approach to North Korea and its actions. So it will be interesting because the previous presidency put a lot of stock, at least in the first few years, of law and order. And we'll see what America's role will be moving forward on the national stage, because I think we're starting to see other countries just seeing what this president and this administration, this Congress, this government is capable of handling. So 14 states are suing Biden, the Biden administration, over oil and gas leasing moratorium. So recently, the Biden administration put a pause on new oil and gas drilling on federal land, and 13 different state attorneys general sought to end the suspension of issuing new oil and gas releases, including in the district court for Western District of Louisiana. So those were 13, and then 13 of the 14, and then Wyoming's attorney general filed a separate lawsuit in a court in its own state. So the lawsuits allege, and this is coming straight from the Epoch Times, that the administration's leasing pause violates the Mineral Leasing Act that requires quarterly lease sales and sought to restore regular federal drilling auctions. It will be very interesting to see what the response will be, and how President Biden lines this up in his green energy plan, where drilling for oil falls. Anyway, if you're interested in hearing some more discussion surrounding other stories, let me know, and I can feature those in the brief breakdown. I hope that you guys are enjoying the podcast, and if you are, go ahead and give it a follow. Remember who the real enemy is. God bless, and I will speak with you next Friday.